Welcome to Caregiving 101. So you got a diagnosis. Where do we go from here? We want to welcome you for joining us today. We know that if you chose this track, you're maybe earlier in your journey with caregiving, and where do we start, right? So we're really grateful that you've chosen to spend time with us today. As I said, this is a safe place, and we're really talking about, what to do after diagnosis and what to just be prepared for in a way from what Carlos has experienced and what we know a lot of dementia caregivers experience. And a lot of this discussion is going to benefit any caregiver on the journey, wherever they are in their journey. This is all really important, and we don't know until we know, right? So we're going to briefly just introduce ourselves and then dive in. So I wanted to also say, I'm thinking of all caregivers that have been touched by the weather, the hurricanes, everything going on, and my heart is with you, and I just hope you have the support you need, and just know we're thinking of you. So
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Very
Okay.
true.
Want to take it away?
Yeah, my name is Carlos Olivas. I am a caregiver, advocate, and a mental health wellness practitioner for myself. Um, uh, Caregiving is a mental health journey as well as a physical and spiritual health um, kind of practice. I've been at this journey for 9 years, and it's been an emotional roller coaster ride up and down. I've been through the ringer. I've been through burnout. I've survived. I've held up my own, and I am trying my best to meet my dad where he's at. Um, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad. Bottom line, I've changed everything about my lifestyle to accommodate this process. And it's with organizations like HFC that provides me caregiver support through their groups, where I can reach out to people around the country and the globe to seek the support I need from people who are going through the same type of thing. When you are, talking about Florida and the Western East Coast, I get to be engaged with a variety of different caregiver support groups and networks. So I have been in contact with people on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And it's hard because they're afraid. They're
Yeah.
trying to protect their loved ones
Yeah.
and do it without the strain and the stress that caregivers go through. So I think we're going to delve into that a little bit in this session, but it's been hard.
Yeah. And your dad is living with Alzheimer's, correct? I just want to say, if you wanted to share.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we missed a big part of what my introduction is. 2015, I got a call from my dad's dentist saying that they had concerns about my dad's health.
Yeah.
My brother flew in from North Carolina, took my dad to his primary care physician, and was told that he has mild cognitive impairment.
Yeah.
And then there was no follow-up after that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I moved back home roughly after that, 2016, I was fully immersed into the childhood home I grew up in, trying to take care of dad, trying to learn about this process. And I made an appointment to get a referral for a memory clinic to see what's going on with my dad. In the summer of 2017, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's dementia. And then from there, it's been a long journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Thank you for setting that stage. And we'll go into that. My name is Carrie Aalberts. I go by Dementia Darling. That is my persona, and I am an educator. I'm an advocate. I have my Master of Science degree focused in gerontology. My grandmother passed away from dementia when I was 13. That always, that was the thing that started it for me. But my career has led me through being a professional caregiver, and I just have such a heart for caregivers. Family caregivers have the hardest job in the world, and that is why I'm here, and do the work that I do. So hopefully we can, help you a little bit and get you on a path of, a good mindset. But we know this isn't a 20-minute conversation. This isn't a 40-minute conversation. This is an ongoing dialogue. So I'm going to just set up the stage a little bit because of about dementia, because unfortunately a huge misconception in our society is that dementia and Alzheimer's are just like interchangeable, and it's just like all the same. And that is very not true. That's very wrong. I came out weird with that one. But that is not true. So I want everyone to know the difference. So dementia is that overarching term of symptoms. Okay. So we have people living, well, people can have, there's up to 120 causes for dementia. So those are this overarching symptoms. But Alzheimer's happens to be the most common cause that we know of. So that's about 60 to 80% of diagnoses, that Alzheimer's causes dementia. So that person has dementia because of their Alzheimer's. Okay. So we are here, mainly about Alzheimer's disease, but we are dealing with all these other types of dementias, right? All these other causes. So we hear about frontal temporal, FTD dementia. We hear about Lewy body dementia. You were talking about, MCI, and that's, what we see in earlier stages, or sometimes you just stay in MCI, mild cognitive impairment. There's mixed dementia. There's a lot to go into there. And I want to say that it's really stressful to try to understand dementia. I'm going to tell you, as a dementia educator, it has taken me a long time to really truly grasp the difference. So I don't want you to beat yourself up if you're still confused. But dementia is not a specific disease. Okay, it's caused by these other things like Alzheimer's disease, for example. And I want to make sure it's clear that it is crucial to understand that dementia is different in every person. So every person with dementia is going to have a different experience. That's what is one of the reasons that makes dementia caregiving so extra challenging, right? Is because it's this progressive disease. It's getting worse as it goes on, and your person is changing, and no one has a one size fits all of care for this journey. So that's why you always have to be learning. So by attending this webinar, we really think this is a practice of essential self-care, is educating yourself as a caregiver, because the more we know, the better we can do, and understand what is happening. So it really truly does, learning about our loved ones' condition and what they're dealing with, equips us to provide the best care that we can. So, and you owe that to yourself. Giving that to them and then giving that to yourself as well is a great way to help safeguard your heart. Not saying it's any easier, but it's great to know you're not alone and you have the information that you need. So again, thank you for being here, and just know you are not alone. This is a continuous learning and adaptation in life. And I don't want you to, we don't want you to wait till a crisis to come and find resources. We want you to know where to find them. So we're going to try to really set you up for success. But we're going to dive into our discussion with Carlos, where I'm going to ask him some questions about the early years and what he's learned and what we really think everyone should know from his experience. So we're going to dive into that. Please put anything that you have in the chat that you would like to touch on or ask, and we will do our best, okay, to touch on everything. So Carlos, if anyone follows either of us, they know we like to talk about emotions. We're very open with our mental health, both of us. We're big mental health advocates. So tell me, for real, what are some of the emotions you experienced when your dad was first diagnosed?
Yeah, glad you brought that up. Because I had to review a video that I took the day that my dad was diagnosed. I was still in the doctor's office waiting for a social worker and taking it in like it wasn't sinking. I was telling myself it was sinking in, but the reality is I was scared. I had a fear. I was confused. I was alone. And I didn't know actually where to turn.
Yeah.
And it was very isolating when you're in that kind of foggy zone
Yeah.
that I didn't know how I needed to proceed with my dad. And I mean, you don't learn about this until you go through it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those days where things just kind of slap you upside the head.
Mhm.
And the reality is, I had no clue what was Alzheimer's, let alone dementia. I had a stigma, a stereotype that maybe these people are crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe they're, loony, that, you know, I didn't know exactly how to pinpoint what was going on and how to proceed. How was I going to treat my dad moving forward, learning this?
Yeah.
I had no clue what to do.
Did you assume in one of those like assumptions about Alzheimer's that it was just memory loss that you were going to be dealing with?
I, yeah, you think memory loss. Okay, he's going to
That's it.
forget my name. He's going to forget who I am. And that's all I knew.
Yeah.
But once I got deeper into it, I began to educate myself into what memory loss is. And
Yeah.
it's much more than just forgetting your name, forgetting where you live, the phone number, or who you're talking to.
So much more than that, right? And we have, like we said earlier, it's just there's such these stereotypes that have come around in society, unfortunately, and that leads to people not getting the help that they need because we don't know what we're looking for and we're just looking for those forgetful things. But we know that dementia can surface with personality changes, different changes that are don't have to do with memory necessarily. Speaking challenges, there's all these different things, physical, challenges. So that's why this is so important. Um, can I ask too, how your dad reacted? And before I'm going to have you answer that, I wanted to say too, is something that I know has helped when I talk to family caregivers and understanding something that happens commonly for people living with dementia called anosognosia. And when our loved ones might get their diagnosis, they might seem like they're in denial, right? And we're like, oh my gosh. And we're like fighting with them about, not understanding. But being in denial is a coping method. They might know they have an issue, but they're ignoring them. This is a psychological, not a physical change. And that the denial you can get through with support and time. But the difference here is people living with dementia may experience anosognosia, which is when their brain has been affected in the areas that they truly can't see that they are having these issues. Like their brain does not allow them to see that they're struggling with this or that they're having memory problems. So this is a physical change that's in the brain. That is not something they're just trying to be difficult. And this helps a lot when we're like, oh my gosh, they just don't want to accept it. Well, a lot of the time it's actually people like physically cannot because their brain doesn't allow them to do that anymore. So I hope that helps in a little bit of the sense that, it's not always the person being difficult or doing things on purpose, right? And I'm not saying everyone, but this does happen. So I wanted to say that before because I know it's very common. And if your dad had any denial, or if you think now looking back, anosognosia.
Yeah, that word, I mean, it's hard to pronounce for me. And I just learned about it, what, 3, 4 years ago? Well, yeah, 4 years ago, about what it means. And I could relate it back over the years.
Yeah.
So when my dad found out that he had Alzheimer's, he pretty much just said, I feel fine. The doctor's wrong.
Yeah.
And what do you say? What do you
I
say
know.
to somebody that looks fine, acts fine, but the reality is he's declining
Yeah.
in something that we cannot see. We can't put our finger on it like a band-aid. So it's hard to kind of deal with that and how to communicate with, how do you communicate with dementia versus your dad?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
absolutely.
like you're almost talking to two different people. And sometimes there is a a therapeutic approach of talking to dementia and talking to your loved one.
Yeah.
And that's a very hard skill, takes an incredible amount of patience, and
Yeah.
it's taxing.
Yeah. And this is just the beginning of the patient's journey, right? As a dementia
Right.
caregiver, this is just the beginning of having to be patient and adaptive. And so, so what did you do first then? Like, what did you do when you came back or when you heard, like for sure he has Alzheimer's?
I just treated him just like dad. He seemed like he was okay. He
Yeah.
could drive himself down to the pub, get himself a burger, a glass of wine, and drive him back home. He'd go to the bank. He was able to do all these things. He knew his phone number. He'd do all these things. He seemed so independent and strong and confident.
Yeah.
But there was times where he just seemed off. I'd come home and the house is full of smoke. The fire alarm's going off. The timer on the oven is going off. And he is sitting there watching TV, enjoying himself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the eye opener that something could have went awfully wrong.
Yeah.
And we're in California, so I mean, fires are pretty common here. And it could
Yeah.
have been we could have sparked a grass fire if it
That was
went.
a turning point for you, right? When you were kind of like,
Yes, it was
this
a
is,
turning point because that initiated going and talking to a elder care attorney and talking to my dad's insurance agent and finding out, well, educating myself on my dad's affairs and what to do next and how to start planning.
yep.
And it was that, you know, after the appointment with his insurance agent, um, because my dad has long-term care insurance, with the foresight that my dad had, is to plan for the inevitable,
Yeah.
to protect probably my mom from having the burden.
Yeah.
And the reality is that it's come to having that burden of caring for my dad and then acting upon his wishes through his planning. So we began long-term care insurance right after that, after telling the insurance agent that my dad, was burning things. And from there, it was a storm of trying to catch up,
Yeah.
learning about what to do next, how to protect my dad, how to protect his assets, his
Yeah.
affairs, understanding the medical system, a variety of different things that it seemed overwhelming
Yeah.
and daunting.
Yeah, I mean, where do you even start with that? And it's scary when you see the amount of things you have to get in order, right? Before someone progresses into their disease more and cannot consent, right, to certain things. So you would say one of the really important things right away is to go to finding an elder attorney, an elder law attorney that can really help you start those processes and make sure you have everything covered that you need to right away. That is very important. And so right away, you were having to advocate, you were having to figure it out on the fly every day as you
Yeah.
navigated.
And that's one of the hardest things to do, taking over your dad's banking and other affairs that he had built,
Yeah.
and having the weight of that responsibility on my shoulders,
Yeah.
because I don't want to screw it up. He
No.
worked all his
So
life to accumulate that.
yeah.
And it's a lot of responsibility to take on, especially when you're under stress, knowing that your loved one has a irreversible neurodegenerative disease that's terminal. And it's scary because is it going to be 5 years, 10 years, 15, or tomorrow? We don't know how fast and progressive this is. There's nothing out there that tells you exactly how it's going to take. There is examples,
But
but
we
in
know everyone's
reality,
different. Yeah.
everyone's different.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Um, so what did you, because I know we've talked, like one of the first things that kind of sparked in your head was like changing brain health practices in your day to day for not only him, but for you, right? Was that one of the first things too that you wanted to kind of change?
In many ways, it was like trying to fix something, trying to fix your dad. How do you fix your dad? How do you tell him, you got to put on your pants this way? Something that he's always done.
Mhm.
He was been that meticulous person. Um, he served in the military, so he had this routine and this discipline to himself. Morning routines were just spot on every day in the morning time. He was just on it. But how do you support somebody like that? How do you change their lifestyle for the better?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had to start learning, listening to podcasts, going to workshops, going to
Mhm.
support groups. I started filling my life with taking on information,
Yeah.
seeing
Tell
what
us,
would work.
yeah, tell us how many support groups you're in today.
Uh, right now, I'm in 5 support groups. One of my favorite is a poem writer support group where I can be creative and express myself in a different art form, relieving the tension
Love that.
uh, through word. Um, and then I'm with Hilarity for Charities support group. We meet once a week, and I've been in that group since 2020, right before the pandemic.
Oh my gosh, good timing.
Before
Well, I was going to say how long did it take you when he was diagnosed in officially in 2017 to get into a support group?
that was that was a struggle because I didn't think I needed help.
That's
So
common.
yeah,
We
I didn't
got
think I
this.
needed.
Right,
I
yeah.
did not think I needed help to care for my dad. My dad looked and seemed normal.
Yep. That's the hard part,
It
right?
wasn't until
One of the
there
hard parts.
was an abrasiveness where I poked the hornet's nest and it stung me several times, where I was really falling into despair. I ended up calling a 1-800 helpline, getting some information for a workshop just to get myself started. And then the person on the phone says, "Well, how are you doing?" And then suggested
Yeah.
a caregiver support group. So after that, it took me months to even step foot into a support group. It was a local organization. I mean, it was a national organization, but having a local in-person group back in 2000, I think 18. There's many times I would be sitting in the parking lot waiting to start the group, and I'd say, "Nah, I don't want to be here. It wasn't for me."
No.
I would leave.
You have to kind of shop around, right? It's hard. And you're like, I'm busy. I don't have time to shop around. I need to find my people. But how worth it is to keep trying. And
Yeah,
like, and that's why I love that you're in multiple because it shows like you can get things, different things from each group that can like fill your cup. And it doesn't have to be just one place and one group.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah. And I walked into the first group. No one looked like me. There was an age difference, and it was mostly women.
Yeah.
I was the youngest, but I left there feeling like I was home. Like this
Oh,
is where I needed to be. This
it's
is
amazing.
where I needed to learn from elders to teach me how to navigate through this.
Yes.
And I
Yep.
started coming back over and over again. And then I heard about Hilarity for Charity, and then it just kind of networked to other caregiver support groups. And it provided me some stability with my
Yeah.
mindset
Yes.
because it was filling my cup. It was self care.
Yeah.
It's basically free mental health with a group of other individuals who are striving to understand and grasp what is going on,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
have no clue what's going on and you just want to be validated.
Yeah. And would you say for some people that might be a little nervous to join, to maybe do a virtual one to start off with and don't feel like you have to, bare your soul right away, but just go and see? Because I think, it's so beneficial to be in those groups when you have this array of different caregivers in different stages, because you really can help people with your experience, and then you can get a little bit of a view into maybe what is coming, maybe, there's just all these different ways, and then you're going to learn of resources and things that you wouldn't learn otherwise, because caregivers are truly the experts here, right? They're the ones in the trenches every day. They're the ones you're going to learn from. And that's why the care squad is doing this, because caregivers are the experts, and they're the ones understanding the day-to-day struggles that are going on. And so learning those creative things from everyone is, I'm sure, very beneficial. I know it is, but
Yeah, yeah,
not
it
sure.
is beneficial. I would say, go and, visit one, see if it's for you. Maybe go 3 or 4 times. Try to see if they can build a routine of practice for
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
because it's self-care. It's providing grace to you. And
Yes.
you have to be your best friend to yourself and
That,
offer your best friend support.
yes. And that's
And
really,
that's the hardest thing to do. It's
yes,
hard for us humans to ask for help in things that we think we can take care of ourselves.
100%. 100%. And so what are the other things that you do? Of course, we know support groups to help with your burnout. If you do, because we know we can't sometimes avoid it, right? We say, of course, burnout is not a normal part of, we want that to be a normal part of life, of course, but unfortunately, caregivers, I just saw someone in the chat is a sandwich caregiver, kids at home and parents, it's going to happen, right? So how do you combat that, and how do you help besides the support groups?
Yeah, when I came back on the scene, I didn't have a dentist. I didn't have a primary care physician. I wasn't taking good care of myself.
Yeah,
So I was already in
that's
the
easy.
negative.
Yeah.
So what I did is I got a doctor and started telling them, it's like, I am a caregiver. I think I need mental health support. So I got a therapist. I started going to the dentist more often. It's been a battle getting myself back on track, because any oral hygiene can affect the rest of your body.
Yeah.
Um, I started, really practicing self-care techniques, anywhere from breathing, meditation, physical exercise. Um, I was running before I injured myself in 2023. Um, I was trying to take care of myself, and it was hard to get having an outlet to go out and really care for me. I reach out to friends, people who really understand me, who can take me away from caregiving.
Yeah.
I can just relax, be alone, or not be alone, but be outside of the challenges I face.
Absolutely.
That's,
Absolutely.
and then I started becoming a ambassador for a men's mental wellness group.
I love that.
And kind of really looking at the intersection of caregiving and mental health, and how we all strive together, and we have to have this kind of fluidity.
Yeah.
It's about community and how we kind of together grow and spread awareness about Alzheimer's and your own caregiver health.
Yes.
It's
No,
important that
absolutely.
we take a look at it, and we kind of observe it, be self-aware.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and now we're actually going to break up into two groups and just chat for like 10 minutes. If anyone wants to share anything, I'm going to share again our resource page when we get back. So you can download that as well. If you didn't see it in the chat, I'm going to announce that. But we have a list of places that you can go to. Of course, HFC we recommend for support groups. So we have other places too, and foundations and podcasts to listen to, all the things. So we are actually going to break up. So it's going to take you into another room. So don't be alarmed, and you'll be with either Carlos or myself, and we're going to talk for just like 10 minutes, no pressure to talk. And then we will come back here and end things for our session. So hold tight for a moment here.
We're back, and we had a great group.
We had a better group, but whatever. I'm just kidding.
We had some
No,
good
we got a
feedback.
lot of stuff done. I hope you guys did too. I'm so happy. We have 5 minutes to wrap up. And I'm just gonna put in my our list again. So please download this before I put it in as like an editable thing. So don't do that necessarily. Just download this PDF. This might be easier for you. So if you want to see anything, Mr. Carlos, any reflection here, what do you leave us with?
Um, One of the last things I said is in our group was focus on the abilities, not the disabilities.
Yes.
It's really important to understand that I've been doing that with my dad,
Yeah.
and it's helping him flourish, helping him thrive, uh, and it's helping me.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot what else I was going to say. Self-care is self-preservation, self-love, and finding your group, finding your tribe is really important to help you go through this. It helps you feel less alone.
Absolutely.
And if you're not following me on social media, please follow me at Charlie Robot on Instagram. And then you can go to the links on the bio to find our other platforms and other blogs, social media kind of things that we do. I try to highlight my dad and the art he does.
Yeah.
He's a prolific artist, and he continues to shine and flourish every day. And
Yes.
it's a pleasure walking him home.
I love that so much. And one of my favorite things you've said to me while we were prepping for this is dad is teaching me how to care for him. I just need to listen. And I just love that so much. And I thank you for that. And I thank you for being so open. And we need, I feel like it's so cliche, but we need a guy in this space to be open and share and show the realities and be proud of, your journey. And so we thank you. Just thank you. And on your birthday at that, thank you, Carlos, for being open, and what you share online with the world helps so many people. And we need to work together as caregivers, as people loving people with dementia, to fight that tragedy narrative, fight that stigma, and keep fighting for them. And I just thank you for being here. Please count your wins, no matter how big or small. There's a win to be found in every day. And thank you so much for being here. Go hang out in the next session. Go pick one of the other ones. And the other one that you don't pick, you can always watch the recording later, and follow me on Dementia Darling. And again, you can email me if you have any questions. You are not alone. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for being here.
thank you.
Bye,
Appreciate you
everyone.
all.